an apology, it's just upsetting, and I believe it undermines their credibility of an organisation who are able to, say, deal with service complaints where individuals complain of discrimination adequately.
Kerry-Ann, we'll come back to it. We want to hear more of what you think the future holds and what can be done. But just on that point, Emma, that must be very frustrating for you to, be representing Kerry-Ann, to feel that you have had the case and, in a sense, to have had many elements of it accepted in terms of a financial compensation, but not really get to the root of it.
It is very frustrating. As far as we know, nobody's been held accountable for any of this. So they had to uphold racial and sexual harassment because she had recorded it. If she hadn't made secret recordings of those racist things that were said about her, lynching her, tarring and feathering her, putting her in a hot box, really despicable things.
So these were things that were said that people were going to do to her?
They were said about her by her colleagues, who were saying one thing to her face and saying those things behind her back once they knew that she had made a complaint. They were victimising her and being racist towards her. If she had not recorded those things, the army would never have accepted that they happened.
Right. So, just to be clear, I said this to Karen, this is some of the worst I've ever read as a lawyer. I suspect that's your experience of it too. There are 6.7% of our armed forces are people who identify as people of colour, right? The question is it safe for them to carry on being in the army? My question to you is, without an admission of liability, there's no incentive for the army to assess whether or not there's an institutional racist problem. And the curious thing about this case is who investigates all of this? The army.
It's the army.
Do you think that's appropriate? Do you think that the army is institutionally racist? And if so, what can be done about it?
I mean, the complaints process is broken. It's biased and it's broken, and it needs to be taken away from the army itself. And that is clear when you're dealing with issues affecting women, black people. It's just appalling. And in terms of your question about institutional racism, absolutely yes, which does not mean that everybody in the army is racist. There are amazing people in there trying to do really brilliant things, but the systems that are supposed to work to help and protect people when they raise a concern about racism are completely broken.
Kerry-Ann, you're not in the army now. I'm hoping that your life is happier now, but there must be a bit of you, I think, that feels like it's almost unfinished business, because you don't want to see black people not living their dream jobs just as you did in the right way. Can anything be done?
Yes, I believe a lot can still be done, and I do have hope that if adequate changes are made, the army can be that inclusive environment that they preach they are. Because you do have a lot of good people in the army, especially in my case that came up, at the last end. I had multiple witnesses in court to testify, tell the truth. And, in the end, it supported the evidence that I provided. And, that was to their own detriment, as in their career, because individuals in the army aren't supported or encouraged to speak up. So right now, I can only imagine the effects it is having on them as individual. But at the same time, it just shows the moral compass of those individuals, the courage it took them to speak up for myself. That is the selfless commitment that the army preach of, whereas the chain of command failed me miserably when I did raise these complaints. So the same, values and standards that they use to, enforce discipline within the organisation, they failed at the first level themselves. Where, if you do have, say, individuals who did speak up and were honest in charge, who are in the positions of being in charge in the army, that is when you'll have tangible change. So, yes, I do have faith, but at the moment not in the complaint system. So therefore, as no imminent change will, I think will.
Well,
you know,
Kerry-Ann, look,
take
we
effect.
do have a response from the Minister for Veterans and People, who apologised and said no one in the military should go through what Kerry-Ann experienced, and the response to complaints should have been better and quicker. The Army has recognised the need for cultural reform and to drive forward with robust policies which tackle bullying, harassment and discrimination. So if they could listen to some of the points that we've heard this morning, then their intentions to reform, hopefully, we'll see some progress. Really good to speak to both of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, both of you. Thanks very
And what a
much
tragedy,
indeed.
You know, of all of the things that unite our society, the army, right, the best of Britain. You know, I'm an honorary colonel, right, the Royal Corps
Yes,
of Army
you are,
Musicians.
yeah.
And what I see is, you know, a range of people from every background, every community coming together to be the best of Britain.
And to, as you say,
you
put
get
their
that
life on the line.
for
and
us.
that, this is just not good.
Yeah. Now, sorry, I was just say, if you've been affected by any of the issues we've been discussing, you can find advice and support at itv.com/helplines.